Hello, 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 and welcome back to 365 Days Towards Racial Change. My name is Tomlins Nyback, and this is day 196, 200, coming up right around the corner. We're here talking about black issues, of course. If you just stuck around, hopefully this is not the first time you've tuned in. Uh, how blacks are situated in America, whether we need attention, whether we are disadvantaged, or are we still suffering as a group? We look at struggles, internal, external, mental, economic, geographical, political, international impacts, things like that. I just when I say that, the international piece, where this project is really deals with homegrown issues in history and like that. But every once in a while, I'll see across the news or in my MSN feed about uh, how other countries invest in Africa and how even black folks. Dr. Anderson has some actually plans, ideas about how black folks can invest in Africa or black nations, and that just makes me think, how in the world there's still, like internationally, this stigma about Africa, Africans, where it's a place where black people are in so much need. You know, there are billionaire Africans. I think one Nigerian, I don't know the name, stands out. Uh, but there's money. You know, United Emirates and some of that area. Yeah, there's billionaires over there. Those individuals, how by whatever means, are doing well. But I'm guessing that, like any darker people in the world, there is challenges there. So internationally, there are issues as well, be it kind of beyond the scope of this little 1 year trial, but definitely worth occasional attention. What's the world's observation of black folks in the world, not just America? Because us American black folks are thought of as doing well. We're making rap music, hosting game shows, have talk shows and stuff. But we're athletes. All black athletes around the world do pretty well. So, but what's the general condition of black people around the globe? Us black Americans, you're like, how dare we cry foul? We're in America, at least, born here, confirmed citizens. So what's our complaint? Why are we still complaining? Why is this guy making a full year of essential a black complaint about the color of his skin in America? What's the motivation? Uh, you get to stick around for a year, maybe you'll get it. It's an argument you either catch or you don't. No matter what color you are, where you fall. You know, people on my private email list seem to understand. They seem to get it, and a lot of black people on my email list have done well in America. But understand that racism, disadvantage still exists solely because of the color of our skin. That's if you can get your head around that, you don't even have to agree, but will you understand the argument before you have a bias either way? So that's that little piece. So the mind of the black American, is it still a slave mind? That's a big concern of mine. Are black minds compensating for this overarching super white power that has spread its will and its wings over the globe, its home base uh, being in America, you know? Um, and is there a trauma involved with that? As I get older, I'm getting sensitive to some things that disturb me and some things that consistently disturb me, and I'm consistently disturbed uh, by white privilege, and it's like, it's hard to say what's to blame. I used to work in interpersonal violence, and that's a field. There's representations of all races and colors, but I worked in an office. I was the only black man, right? And through a long course of turn of events, I'm not going to waste time here with the story. The office turned against me. The office was white. The office was female, you know. So were the problems, let's just try to take the pieces of it. Were these the problems that occurred in the office, um, like real problems, that would have occurred no matter who the characters were? Were the problems exacerbated because of the characters? Single black man, group of white women. Um, did the probably Was there a sensitivity in that office? Um, was the one black man tolerated amongst this group of white women? Right? So it's hard to say. There were investigations and all that, but in the end, it was he said, she said, and all this stuff. But I'm getting tired of when I have problems in a space. Usually, it's me, a single black man, and a group of white people. Are they really that numerically superior in one sense per capita? Where you know, let's say all things being equal, let's say everybody's white, everybody's black, would these issues occur? Is what I'm getting at. And what's happening with me as I get older, I'm seeing like I'm really having it's really getting abrasive in some spaces because I'm losing the ability to tolerate bull. you know, I need people, if I'm there to shovel poop, then let me shovel poop. And I don't want to play politics with upper management about how I shovel it and making them smile and entertaining them. That's not my job. That's not in the job description. The job description is shovel poop, dig a ditch, you know, uh, develop tendonitis from repetitive work and stuff like that. But I'm finding lately they want this little extra entertainment value, you know. Their bottom line is doing so well that they got time to have their laborers perform. So that's happening to me mentally. Is that's the same thing happening with other black folks? The white mind, this expectation that they are like kings. Like if you look in the Bible, you know, or just life history, when you came to the king's court, you didn't have a sad face. That's bad news. King don't like that. Queen don't like that. So you got to be always up, you know, bringing them life, right? Is that happening in the workplace? Are white people, and hey, I work for a super mega billion-dollar logistics company, internationally publicly traded, yeah, all that, right? And the upper echelons want to see the worker like a puppet on a string, you know, that white power. Ain't no blacks way up there. I know that. I don't need evidence. I just know it. Ain't no blacks up way in the top in this company. Well, that's what, I'm dealing with, right? That's my concern, the mind of America. Financial literacy, get with it. I saw something in my feed about how much you got to save to be a millionaire when you're 60 something and all that. I'm already decades down the road. I'd have to put away $1 million, right now just to have a fighting chance. Yeah, but I remember, see, financial literacy for me, a big thing that I realized is I would have made some different choices had I known I'd live this long. Longevity was not part of the equation. It was always in the moment, spend what you can, uh, hedonistic life, pleasures, drugs, alcohol, sex, however I could get it, and not realizing uh, that I'm going to live a certain amount of time. And, like anything with investments and economics, if I had have been responsible, in those early teens when I picked blueberries or done something stupid, some odd job, uh, boy, what that nest egg would look like today is amazing. It's okay. I'm optimistic about finishing well. But the financial literacy, it's a literacy, it's tied to one's longevity. And I think we need to understand some of that. Got a little something up there going on. So we got to work on that. That's a concern for me and black folks. I had this nice girl that I knew, and some people, I work used to be a waiter at a major food chain, restaurant chain. Thought it was good that I was having all this cash every night, all that. Well, that's not exactly a good thing if you're not knowing what to do, especially with what I learned now. These worthless notes, those federal notes are worthless. They're just the medium of exchange. They have no value. That the whole system supporting them could fold up and they could become worthless overnight. This is something I've learned. My financial literacy is growing. Now I've got more of a fighting chance. I keep more of my money in electronic form. Uh, it's safer that way. I don't carry a lot of cash anymore. Financial literacy, get with it. I'm inspired by a man named Dr. Claude Anderson. Read 3 of his works: A Black History Reader, 101 Questions You Never Thought to Ask, Black Labor, White Wealth. We are finishing up our leadership series today. And Powernomics, Dr. Anderson's national plan to empower Black America. You can find Dr. Anderson at powernomics.com. Behind me, you see the hashtag #US2 symbol. You'll find black women supporting one another there, having their conversation. Check out Black Enough, BLAGGENUF. It's got some weird prefix on the end of it. It's not .com or something like that. Something different. Check them out. Um, and this World Wide Web, if you can't find your flavor, please um, start your own little thing. Get your friends' emails, make it a private email list, and see what happens. You know, every month or two, I get a new subscriber. I'm not running for president. This whole thing is personal for me. It'd be done. I'm not doing it for the public, so to speak. This is my personal project, gaining some catharsis. And also, since we're about to finish our leadership series, I want you to stay tuned because we're going to have some extended story time. For a lot of reasons, I'm not going to tell you my personal life story, but we're going to have some extended story time here in Uncle Tom's Cabin. We're getting into some dense chapters that are going to give us a lot to talk about. All right, last day of our leadership series. We've been talking about, we've gone through some analysis. Now we've talked about some recommendations about unity, a leadership institute, technology, public policies, things like that, competition strategies, a leader with some vision that'll position the Black community towards cash flow entities, pooling resources and stuff like that. Not an easy task. You know, I mean, you're talking a super successful community would have almost have a government. You know, that is what we're missing. Every group, I'm sorry, this is on the fly here, and I'm going to write this down. This is what I think we're missing. This may even tie into today's subject. Think about every group. When I say Arab, Asian, Hispanic, Hmongs, Vietnamese, you know, anybody, Russians, or former Soviet Union. I don't know what they're calling themselves nowadays. I know they're using the colors red, white, and blue, but not in that order. All these groups in America, even African groups, from Ghana, places like that, they're coming from a government. They're coming from a nation. So there's sometimes language barriers, but there's also some societal norms that they're bringing to this country that allow them to be a community in the group. You know, not only are Black Americans missing, a language barrier. I mean, because for all intents and purposes, you look at Black folks on TV and whatnot, we're just a darker white folk in a lot of ways. You know, our values are white values. Our education is white education and all that. Our government is a white government, right? But everybody else being successful, are coming from places with their own governments, with their own social, political, economic, social norms, right? And how we are missing that aspect. So this leadership series is amazing. This just kind of struck me. I'm just going to just talk through it here and see where it goes. Is like, Dr. Anderson, his proposals, he has a very structured background in government. He's fellowship with Jimmy Carter. He's been with governors in multiple states and stuff like that. So he knows what he's talking about. And a lot of this, he's not explicit about this, but, if we could sum it up in a word, it would be, to form a government. It would be it's a government. What would a Black government born in America look like? How would it function and its pieces and parts? And you'll see, I've talked about, Not only do we need holidays, but we need a constitution. We need our articles and papers and stuff like that. Very interesting. I'm going to expand on that sometime. I got to expand on that in the future. But today, let me finish up. Let me just stay on task here. Let's finish up our leadership series. Toughest, in our last few minutes, come back to one of the toughest arguments that may turn away support, black, white, brown, green, whatever, blue, because it means being exclusive in uh, with black resources, uh, black allegiances, things like that. And when you get pushback from a lot of communities, I'm invited to a diversion and inclusion summit, and my message isn't going to be so diverse and inclusive. It's going to be I want to educate these individuals about how and why black people are positioned in America as they are. I'm going to be bringing historical, constitutional, social facts. I don't even care what's going on today. I got enough evidence, uh, I feel, to say why blacks are at a disadvantage, because it is written in to how this nation is to work. And how the nation works is a disadvantaged black folk, whites on top. Native Americans are named explicitly. Immigrants are named explicitly, and that's how favor flows out. And when I'm not going to walk down the street locked in arms with people who are naturally advantaged over me, as per the Constitution of the United States. And people don't like that. I know. I have a good friend, and I don't know where my friend is at on the issue of exclusivity and being selfish with black resources, black concerns, but we're still friends. So hopefully that says something. So we're going to talk. Today's point is colorblind and race neutrality awareness. Beware of this. The leader must not fall into Dr. Martin Luther King's trap and his contemporary leaders' trap of using language, immigrants and people of color and stuff like that. I see it on the news all the time. Those are code words for racism because you're excluding blacks. Us blacks, we've been sitting there with our hats in our hands, waiting for white power to give us the reparations, to make right the theft of Freedmen's Bank, a lot of things. They've done some lip service. They've compensated some families for cooning. I don't know if I've talked about that. Yeah, I've talked about so much. Rosewood, some of the Rosewood families got their descendants got some. Descendants of Thomas Jefferson had a big thing years ago. We have all these little outliers, but American society just refuses to get out of the way. Black folks refuse to put the energy into being out there, being standing shoulder to shoulder, looking eye to eye on America's socio-economic, political landscape. We're always carrying somebody's water, so to speak. No holiday. We don't have a national allegiance anywhere. We are adrift in and lost in this nation called the United States of America. You know, this colorblind race neutrality language. Let me give you some words. Um, People of color, immigrants, um, all the inclusion, tolerance, all this kind of language, takes away the attention from black people. Why can't you say black people? I'm black. Why can't you take care of black people? Right? Black. Can you say it with me? Black. Black person. What's wrong with the black person? That there's you're avoiding eye contact. It's like I remember back in the day. It's not so much now when you see a person handicapped in a wheelchair. You don't stare. Don't make eye contact. Right? That's how America treats black folks. You know, they soothe their consciousnesses with they shake your hand thinking, oh, person of color. Boy, that does sound more flowery than black person, because black is darkness. It's a void. It's gathering energy. You think of a black hole where it's sucking in matter. It's time and space is distorted in there. It's chaos inside the black hole, right? And, blackness. Black absorbs everything. You know, that's So we see black darkness as a threat. It's because we can't perceive in that space. Remember, I'll tell you the story. I lived in a room that had no windows, and the lights went out unexpectedly. That was the deepest darkness I've ever been in. I was afraid, right? So people, there's, human instinct has an aversion towards blackness. I get it, but not people. We're still people, you know. So I totally get it, but if we can liberate it, saying they're colorblind, you're people of color, stuff like that. Oh, that's so flowery. Doesn't that make you just want to jump up and down and spin around one time? It's dangerous. Our black leader is going to need to be vocal about blackness. We're not African Americans. Ain't nothing African about us. Africa was bred out of us over hundreds of years. We have no connection with Africa. I don't see a big African roots revival like Alex Haley. Records are lost. We don't speak the language, right? We don't have the governments and those standards that didn't survive. The language, the religion, the customs of an African place. We are black people. We're a whole different nation created inside of America. If you read Dr. Anderson's literature, you'll find more of that argument. So those are code words for racism. People of color, immigrants, inclusion, diversity, and stuff. That's more the LGBTQ community. That they have that big rainbow symbol and all this stuff. It doesn't get black people out of mass incarceration, disadvantaged communities, poor funding. It doesn't get us favor in business, in the workplace. I'm going through that now. It's passed over for promotion twice. That's, I'm the best they got going there. It's like, get out of town. All these things. Black leaders got to be on point with that. Now, I'm going to end with this because I every once in a while, I think I've said it more lately. The black leader is also going to have to be sensitive to who's really on board and on point with their message. Not all black people are feeling this and care, you know. But I can imagine if it ever becomes popular, we'll have all kinds of people climbing on the bandwagon, you know. But every group has their examples that are probably less desirable, right? I know a couple gay, same-sex married couples. They're not flaming people in your face with their homosexuality like some people in the gay community are, right? Very very charismatic and sensitive, all in your face with it. These couples, you know, some have children and all this. They're mature. We can talk. I have fellowship with them. I wouldn't if they were all, you know, out there all the time, just waving their banner and carrying their flag. I wouldn't be like that with black folks, waving and carrying a flag and, you know, pounding you with blackness. That's not mine either. Right? Not all white people are white supremacists and you know, carrying a flag and marching and being contrary just because they're white supremacists. I don't fellowship with people like that. I say that because, you know, the black leader is also going to have to, you know, be unafraid to establish some group norms. You know, Dr. King had this problem when he was marching. You know, you have black guys want to come to fight, right? He's trying to just do this non-violence thing, but here comes, you know, these niggas want to come and protect and fight, which was not his message, not his agenda. But they're in the crowd and confusing things. So I'm just this leadership series. I'm sorry, I kind of sprung out of control. I've got my strength up. I took a night off from work. So I think I've got a little boost of energy and creativity is happening. So we went in kind of other directions. I'm way over. Please, I apologize. Please stick around. Listen, we're going to come in. Let's do some Uncle Tom's Cabin for a couple days here. I'm Tom Lindsay back. I hope you caught that post. Day 196 out of the way. 365 days towards racial change. Please come back tomorrow. I'll try to be more focused.